Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Cyberfest Rebooted. This is San Francisco Zine Fest 20th year in existence. We're here for Show and Tell Group E today. This is the order of events. I'll do an intro about San Francisco Zine Fest for a couple of minutes. Then we'll go over house rules and expectations. And then our wonderful artists are going to present their work. And then we'll just close it all out in the last few minutes. My name is Mcdevitt, and I'm one of the organizers of San Francisco Zine Fest. So the organization was founded in 2001 as a gathering place for writers and artists from around the world, but especially the Bay Area. Typically held as a one-day event at County Fair Building in Golden Gate Park, our 2019 festival had about 240 exhibitors and over 5,000 attendees. Due to COVID-19, our 2020 festival spanned 3 weeks and encompassed over 21 days of zine-related activities and was 100% virtual. San Francisco Zine Fest 2021 is a 9-day festival that's going to be mostly virtual with some in-person workshops in collaboration with local Bay Area bookstores. This is our Safer Spaces policy. If you've attended any of the show and tells last year or this year, or if you've been to our in-person festival, you have come across this. We are committed to providing a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, disability, their physical appearance, body size, race, or religion. We will not tolerate harassment at San Francisco Zine Fest events in any form. Individuals violating the Safer Spaces policy may be sanctioned or expelled from the space or the event at the discretion of any San Francisco Zine Fest organizer. Basically, respect people's opinions, their beliefs, their differing states of being, and differing points of view. Always get explicit verbal consent before taking someone's photo or crossing other personal boundaries. Be responsible for your actions and be aware that they may have an effect on others, regardless of your original intent. A safe and respectful community is everyone's responsibility. What is Cyberfest Rebooted? Well, it's a festival that's going to run from August 28th through September 5th. We have exhibitors show and tell, which you are attending one right now, readings, workshops, demos, interviews, etc. On the workshops front, we actually have 2 in-person workshops happening with Rock, Paper, Scissors Collective this weekend. Artist zines will also be sold at local participating bookstores. So you can find the works you are seeing online at the bookstores that we'll talk about later tonight. Our guest of honor this year is Tiny Splendor, and they're the ones who designed the poster you see on the left. It was by Sanaa Khan of Tiny Splendor. And they invited 3 guests to join San Francisco Zine Fest, and they are Ocean Escalante, Samantha Espinoza, and Tamiko Sidori. And they're actually going to be reading tomorrow as part of our Thinking Captions zine reading. Guidelines for Zoom. Great. Please keep your videos off unless you are presenting. This is to prevent any kind of lagging. Keep yourself on mute unless you are presenting. For presenters, if you have a question, you can ask in the chat. There are going to be moderators there. Please note that chat will also only be available for panelists. Attendees may ask questions using the Q&A feature. Each artist tonight is going to have 5 minutes to share their work. They may use their 5 minutes however they like. Compliment each other in the chat or just say hi. ASL interpretation tonight is provided by Nicole Watson and Rob Merino. Be mindful for folks who are blind or visually impaired by being specific and descriptive when sharing your work. And what that means is like, don't just put up your zine and say, this is what I made. You can, but be a bit more descriptive about it. What is the zine about? What does it look like? What is the artwork you're trying to share with us? The Zoom webinar is being recorded and broadcast to Facebook and YouTube. Above all, please be respectful. All right, this is for the presenters. You may be wondering, what do I say? What should I do when presenting? Well, first off, tell us your name and your pronouns. And of course, correct me if I mispronounce your name. Tell us if you're based in the Bay Area, and if you aren't, like, where are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And finally, show us your work or read something from your zines and comics. This is the order of the exhibitors tonight. They are Flores Couture, Impostor Monster Zines, Long Arm Stapler, Ruiz, Rachel Lau, Ulterior Zines, Girls on Film, Off Menu Press, and K. Rodriguez, Silent Hare Studios. All right, before actually we get started, let's just take a collective breath. Let me stop sharing for a second. Breathe in. Breathe out. In and out. In and out. I do this also just to calm myself down. And it also works when I'm working with my kids in the classroom. Let me share my screen again so we can continue. Okay. Flores, our first presenter is going to be Flores Couture. I'm a writer based out of Pomona. I write poetry, short stories, and current events. I self-publish zines. My topics include social justice, human rights, helping the homeless community, solar energy, self-love, and mental health. I cover local events happening and going on in Pomona, the IE, and Los Angeles. I use a typewriter, markers, pencils, and paper as my medium. My typewriter is a Smith Corona 70. For me, my zines are art. They are unique. They help spread my stories and my art. I'm going to stop my screen so that Flores can go on. I realize I also should have double checked that they are here right now. You just need to unmute yourself. We can see you and hear you now. Thanks.
Now you can hear me? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I actually drove up to San Francisco and didn't quite make it simply because I got a little sick. So let me go ahead and start this. Thank you very much for joining me. I am a writer and poet out of Pomona. I started drawing in November of 2020 because I wanted to start putting more art into my zines, and I didn't have the ability to do it. I've been writing since I was approximately in 4th grade, and I've been published before. Self-publishing is one of the best things I've ever done. It's been a complete joy to me, and it saved my life pretty much this whole year. My grandfather went to San Francisco to work as an engineer, and San Francisco has a huge place in my heart. Going in 2018 was one of my biggest goals that I've ever realized. And this is pretty much dedicated to my mom. This is, excuse me. This is Maria Felix, and I apologize for the lighting. So basically, I wrote about a beautiful Mexican actress during the golden era. She was an incredibly strong lady. This was supposed to be a fanzine, but I wasn't able to do it. I couldn't just photocopy or make copies of her beautiful pictures. I had to do something different. So in this fanzine, I drew her and I kind of dedicated this to a strong woman. She grew up in the 40s and she had dichos, sayings. These are a lot of sayings that my mom told me when she was alive that have helped me a lot. One of them is, nunca he querido a nadie como me quiero yo, a mí misma. Entonces, nadie ha podido hacerme sufrir. Never have I ever loved anyone like I love myself. As a result, no one has been able to make me suffer. Para tener un mejor lugar, hay que tener valor. Hay que saber que la verdad es lo único que nos va a salvar y que nos hará mejores personas. In order for us to be in a better situation in life, we need to value yourself. We have to understand that the truth is the only thing that will save us and make us better people. So basically, what inspired me about her is when she grew up at the era, it was in the 40s in Mexico, and her husband divorced her and kicked her out, threw her in the streets, and took her son away. She then became an actress in Mexico, became powerful, rich, influential, and went back and got her son. I want to bring these stories that my mom taught me about this beautiful, influential woman. I wanted to bring these stories to life, bring them to our generation, bring them to all the little girls, to my nieces and my nephew. That way they know about this beautiful Mexican beauty, and to bring even more melanated color. This is part of my artwork that has been published on Intercultural Press in the Los Angeles Poet Society. It involves, again, more melanated beauties. This is a heart that I also did, and it's part of a print that I also did called I Love Myself. In order to purchase any of my works, you can go ahead and Venmo me the payment, and DM me, and I'll go ahead and mail it to you. Again, this has been, for me, my art has, my writing, my poetry, my zines. Attending Zine Fest has literally saved my life. It's helped me express all the grief, all the sadness, all the pain that has been going on through 2020 and even today. And I want to end this with a poem I wrote back in 2007. I Love Myself by Gloria M. Almanza. I love myself. I love my life. I love my body. My body is self-healing. My body is in perfect balance. I love my work. I love those that are close to me. I love my home. I am grateful for all that I have. I love and forgive those who hurt me. I love and forgive myself. I love nature and am grateful for her beauty, the same beauty I see within myself. I love all creatures, big and small. I feel and appreciate all the love that surrounds me. Look into your eyes as you say this to yourself. Feel the gratitude within your heart. Feel your self-confidence and deep self-love. Feel the passion in your heart as you say this. Know that you have everything you've ever wanted. See yourself as what you want, but in the here now present. Thank you very much for joining us tonight and joining me and listening to me for a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for sharing those words of affirmation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next presenter. They are Impostor Monster Zines. Mick, the pronouncer they, them, is a fat, white, genderqueer, disabled zinester in Brooklyn, New York. They're also a radical, full-spectrum doula and the editor of the Doula Project's zine, DIY Doula, Self-Care for Before, During, and After Your Abortion. Mick was nominated for a Broken Pencil Zine Award in 2020 for their zine, Let Me Know If There's Anything I Can Do. Mick loves hand lettering, playing the ukulele, and giant salads. Mick, if you are here, you're up.
Hi. Hey, everybody. First of all, I am a white genderqueer person with big dimples, and I have brown and purple hair, and I'm wearing a black short sleeve top. And you can see some of my tattoos, and I have black headphones on. So it was mentioned in my description there that I'm a full spectrum doula. So if you're not familiar with that, I basically support people who are giving birth and having abortions and experiencing a loss like stillbirth. And it's been something that's been really meaningful to me. And it's also kind of changed the way that I've interacted with other people. It's changed the way that I've learned to give support, and it's changed the way that I've been able to kind of learn to support myself. And to be kinder to myself. The Impostor Monster is one of my first zines. So that's kind of stuck the label of my press. And that's about imposter syndrome. But a lot of my zines center around disability. The one that was mentioned is let me know if there's anything I can do. I think this happens when somebody's sick, or if they are disabled, or if they have a baby, that people just say, oh, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And it's not always the most helpful or useful, because then you have to coordinate, oh, well, what are you able to do? Can you afford to buy me groceries? Can you afford to buy me dinner? Are you offering to like run an errand for me? What do you have the capacity for? So this is kind of like 10 things that I wish people would ask me instead of just making a big offer. Another one of my zines about disability is a Disability Manifesto. And this is more of like an affirmations zine. I love hand lettering. And so this is all hand lettered in here. And it says things like, I am not disposable because I'm disabled. And my body is not something to be fixed simply so that I can generate wealth. Capitalism does not own my body. And my newest zine is a little book of trans affirmations. And again, it's hand lettered on the inside. So I love doing that. And it says things like, you do not owe anyone passing. It's also okay if you want to pass. And your gender is exquisite. There's no right way to express your gender. There are infinite ways to express your gender. And I also try to make all of my zines so that they're sort of take what works for you and leave what doesn't. And I try to leave some space for you to write your own affirmations, or for you to, write your own notes there if there's something that, resonates with you, or you need to have a reaction to it. I try to leave workbook space in all of my zines. The one that I'm working on right now is a pocket guide to medical self-advocacy, because I feel like I've been a professional patient for a lot of years, and I've also supported people navigating these systems that are often working against a lot of people that, whether they are living in bodies that have had, the medical system just doesn't treat them well because they are Black or brown or fat or disabled or queer or whatever it is, that the medical system does not want to work with them. It's kind of the tips and tricks that I've learned from living in that system and from supporting people in that system. So that is hopefully going to be coming out sometime this fall. So yeah, I'm delighted to share this all with you and to see what the rest of you have to make.
So thanks a lot. And yeah, I'll move on to the next person. Our next presenter is Long Arm Stapler. They are based in Fremont, California. Mira of Long Arm Stapler makes zines that focus on the intersections of gender, mental health, and pop culture. Their favorite topics are King of the Hill, karaoke, and talking about their broken brain. Her zines will always be their first love. Mira, who is here, I'll let them take it away.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Mayra, and I make zines under the name Long Arm Stapler. I'm based in Fremont. I'm from the Bay, and I am also a Zine Fest organizer for East Bay Alternative Book and Zine Fest and Bay Area Queer Zine Fest, which is actually happening online next week from September 6th through the 12th. So I just wanted to plug those. I used to make a lot of perzines, and I love perzines, but lately I've been making a lot of fanzines. More specifically, I have 3 zines about karaoke. This is Karaoke Zine 1, and it's an image being projected onto a building of karaoke. Karaoke Zine 2 is a mirror that says feelings. And Karaoke Zine 3, I just finished about a month ago. It's Microsoft Word art and a microphone. There we go. And these are all compilation zines with people's feelings about karaoke and how much they love it. I made a 3rd one to talk about kind of how alienated I've felt over the last year and a half without having public karaoke, which is my favorite hobby. I also make fanzines about King of the Hill. This is Zine of the Hill 2. It's a crude drawing I've done of Hank Hill on the cover. And this is about people connecting with the show King of the Hill. I'm also working on a 3rd Zine of the Hill. This is a call for submissions. I'm messing up my video right now, but it's Bobby Hill and his sweatpants say queer. If you're familiar with the show, it usually says cutie. I'm doing an all queer King of the Hill fanzine. So if you identify as queer and love King of the Hill, hit me up. My links are all in the chat, as well as behind me on this fabulous green screen. I also have 2 coloring zines that are drawings of dogs that I've done called Dog Tinder 1 and 2. Dog Tinder 1 was dogs that I used to walk when I lived in Oakland. And Dog Tinder 2 is dogs that belong to my friends and me. I love dogs and I like to draw them. I also have perzines. One of my favorite perzines that I've ever made is called Current Mood Sad. It's an illustration of someone laying in bed on the top, and it's illustrated live journal entries from when I was really depressed in college that my friend Summer illustrated. And yeah, I talk a lot about being depressed in college and kind of coming to terms with my gender identity and my mental health kind of declining over the years. Yeah, that's all I've got. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Mira. I see a lot of folks commenting that karaoke and they miss it too. Yeah. Just thinking of all the outdoor things that we, I guess, took for granted a while back. But no, on a positive note, we're all the cool stuff that's happening, like our next presenter. Ruiz. I'm a 24-year-old. They write that they're a 24-year-old multidisciplinary creative from Mexico City who loves to listen to others, read intimate introspections, and illustrate as a means to cope with life as a queer person in the midst of sociocultural turmoil. They find beauty in vulnerability, thus they were naturally drawn towards the world of zines. And Luis, if you are here. Please.
Yes, I am.
There you are. Thank you so much.
So beforehand, I want to thank both the festival and everyone that shared their experience today, because it's been so touching and such a breath of fresh air to hear like-minded people and open their hearts so much. I think it's just reminded me why I wanted to get started with zines at all. So I thank all of you for giving me a taste of what life used to look like before the pandemic. And as further context, yes, I'm from Mexico City. Unfortunately, I'm not in the Bay Area currently. I would love to be there with you and engage with all of you and get to know your stories a lot better. However, that is not the case right now. Let's hope things will shift in the near future. And the reason that I wanted to get involved with zines was because back in 2019, the idea of creating a transmedia zine that fused illustration and augmented reality and essay work, bilingual, all of it bilingual, Spanish and English, came to fruition in the form of Deliria, which is the zine that I'm, exposing today, and which actually won back then in 2019 the Broken Pencil Zine Awards for Best Compilation Zine of that year. All in a digital format before we headed to production and printing. And then, as we're all very familiar, as we were about to kick off our Kickstarter campaign, this little thing called Corona hit, and thus the project had to be postponed, but then evolved a lot. So I don't know if I'm able to share my screen. I can see that I can, so I will, just for further context about what this zine looks like. And the reason why I don't have it at hand right now, it's because it's printing as we speak. So it's a baby of mine that's been years in the making. In the digital sense, it's going to be available for everyone. Just to get an insight of what the zine holds, our compilation of 6 essays, again in Spanish and English, from diverse perspectives of femininity and what that spectrum entails, cis women, trans women, gender queer people, and what their experiences entail, and the way that they navigate this femininity, both in Mexico and even people in the US, which were some of our collaborators. And we all shared our experiences. I included some essays of my own in regards to trauma, very personal experiences, and how it was femininity that carried us through those hard challenges that we had to endure, but later came to reveal why we are the way that we are. And as a compilation of all of these stories, they also came in the culmination of realizing how there are so many parallels between the struggles of women and queer folk. Despite many years, we also address the way that these protests and communities that strived to fight for the rights back in the 60s has unfortunately not shifted as much as it should have now in 2021. So long story short, what we're looking at right now is the Kickstarter campaign link, which has culminated. It was successful. That's why we're printing right now. It ran throughout Pride Month of this year, and we'll be shipping some of our 300 limited copies during September. And the digital version will be readily available for anyone to look over, because as we know, it can be mayhem to ship things from Mexico to the US, and even people from Canada were very interested. That's where the zine ran as a contest. So basically what I want to ignite with this project and all of the other fun bundles that can be acquired with them is to get to know your story, much like with the festival that we're in today, get a sense of community, of belonging, and understanding that even through hardships or subject matter that can be considered dark, there's a lot of light and positivity, and most of all, healing that can come out of that. And that's just the way that this project culminates, looking towards the future with hope, and making sure that we can give ourselves those tools through conversations and through just acknowledging that we see each other. So a huge hug to all my queer-minded folk that are here on the zine today, and both outside at home, those that are watching us. And again, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity for greeting me in this group.
Thank you so much, Luis, for sharing your work. It all looks very exciting. Let's see, our next presenter is Rachel Lau. Rachel Lau is a multidisciplinary artist, writer, and radio producer based in what's colonially known as Vancouver. Through audio storytelling, film photography, and zine making, they contemplate what it means to experience longing in a world that is transient. They have lots of feelings and they make things. Currently, Rachel is a co-librarian of Queer Reads Library. It's a mobile library of independently published queer books and zines based in Hong Kong and Vancouver. Rachel, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Anand, for the lovely introduction. Just want to say I really loved your zine, Hot Cha-Chas. I was introduced to it by a fellow zinester friend based in the Bay Area, Mixed Rice Zines. So also want to do a quick visual description of me for folks. So I'm wearing a green shirt. I have long black hair. I'm wearing a black and white checkered bandana, and I'm wearing dangly silver earrings in the shape of lotus roots. So that's me for physical descriptors. So a little bit about me. I'm based in so-called Vancouver, Canada, unceded Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh First Nations territories. And I'm a zinester, a writer, and a radio producer. So I make a lot of perzines. That's mostly what I make, because I think that there are a lot of experiences that I go through as a queer and trans and Cantonese person that I feel the need to express through my art and through zine making. And so I find that zines help me survive, which I think Gloria said earlier too, like Zine Fest really kept them alive. So I definitely feel similarly. And I think throughout the pandemic, it's been really amazing to be able to still connect with zinesters, whether that's online or through snail mail, and be able to continue making zines. So I just wanted to give a quick introduction to some of the zines that I've made in the past couple of years, but I will be reading from a specific zine later. So I have this zine. Oh, I'm going to turn off my, virtual background so everyone can see better. Welcome to my room and also my studio and work office. So I made the zine called Please Don't Forget About Me. And this was a zine specifically about feelings that come up about like a fear of abandonment, especially during the pandemic. I have the zine called Notes, and this was specifically showcasing poetry that I've written in my notes apps. I feel like if other writers are out there, a lot of folks use their notes app to collect and store and write their poetry. So I wanted to make a tribute to that and put it in a zine form. I also have a zine called Work, Work, Work. And essentially it's just my gripes with capitalism and 9-to-5 work culture and how awful that is. So it's a zine, it's a Xerox zine, black and white. And it's just some of my reflections that I had when I was working as an intern at a 9-to-5 job. And then here I have a blue risograph printed zine called Taipei in Blue. And it's a compilation of photos that I took in Taipei back in 2018. So all of them are in blue. And this was because the film, when it developed, actually turned out to all be blue photos. So I wanted the printing to reflect that experience, because I was really surprised when the photos came back and they were all blue, and I decided to run with it. And so part of this was actually I'm thinking through blue as an emotion and feeling that sense of longing because there's this distance between myself and Taipei, and I didn't know when I'd be able to return, especially during the pandemic. And so it took on kind of more of a melancholic tone when I revisited the photos and put the zine together. And then this zine is my latest zine. It's called In My Room. And as we are speaking, I am in my own room. And this was an exploration and a collaboration with my good friend, Tim Fernandez. And essentially it was to think through and kind of experience or to express my experience of being with my own thoughts, especially during the pandemic. And so it kind of feels like moving through these rooms in your mind, and it kind of has like a dreamlike quality to it. So there's like this monster, and like there's a door, and you kind of move through these rooms. So this is probably one of the spookier zines that I've made in terms of like the spookiness of your own personal thoughts. So that's a little survey of kind of like zines I've made recently, but the one that I want to share with everybody is Family. So Family, it's a purple and orange zine with a flower on the cover and a little butterfly floating up above. And then written in my handwriting in cursive is the word family. So this zine is really special to me because it's about queer chosen family. And I've found that it's been really important for me to have queer chosen family, especially during this really isolating time. And this is actually a special edition that was printed by Mixed Race Zines at Unity Press in Oakland. So I thought that I would bring this to SF Zine Fest since it's like kind of connected to the community, even though I'm not based in the Bay Area. So I'll read a little bit from here. Whether it's through a look or a smile, we always seem to find each other. I think the world is unkind because it doesn't always understand how much love could be embodied by queer and trans people. They are angry that we have remained tender despite it all. They are angry we exist with such softness and strength. But in the families we choose, we can be anybody we want. I hope we grow old together so we can tell stories to each other. Just a bunch of babies and gentle thems, old and young. So that's Family. And then the last thing that I wanted to share was I actually had the pleasure recently to print some things at Unity Press at during a brief visit to the Bay Area. And it was the first time that I was back since I was a very young child. So here's this queer crybaby print, and it comes in two colors. One is orange and pink, and the other is kind of this blue and reddish purple color. And so there's these little oval shapes that are floating around the page with lines that are just squiggling around. And there's also some Chinese characters. So that's my work. And I just want to say that if you all want to stay connected, feel free to message me on Instagram. I'm always down for zine trades. So yeah, I would love to stay connected. And thank you everyone for sharing your work and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Speaking of being connected, I was also going to add, we have a Discord server this year. So you can also connect with volunteers, the other exhibitors, and organizers by joining our Discord server there and talking to a bunch of us, which many of you have already been doing. So thank you for that. Okay. And of course, if you'd like to join as an exhibitor or volunteer, just send us an email. All right. And our next presenter is Alexa Lima. They informed us earlier that they were not able to make it tonight, but that is fine. Ulterior Zines, they're based in Atlanta, Georgia. Ulterior Zines was created by musician and zine maker Alexa Lima in 2016 to bring awareness to issues faced by the BIPOC community, express personal thoughts and dreams from a Black Indigenous woman perspective, and connect with people through the zine medium. Their shop is on Etsy at etsy.com/shop/Ulterior Zines. That's ULTERIOR ZINES. Their Patreon is also Ulterior Zines. Their PayPal is at paypal.me/Ulterior Zines. Their Cash App is also the $ Ulterior Zines, and their Instagram is at Ulterior Zines _. I'm not sure if there are 2 spaces for underscores, but yeah, check them out. And of course, you can find all this info on our website as well and on our Instagram. As always, please support artists whenever you can. Next up, we have Girls on Film, based in Washington, D.C. Girls on Film was founded by Steph Mcdevitt and Janine Salza. You're definitely going to have to correct my pronunciation when it's your turn. Sorry about that. 2 pals looking to collaborate on a creative project. Janine is no stranger to zines and introduced Steph to the craft. Since 2018, they have published 13 issues, added a full-time writer, Dr. Rhonda Bauman, numerous excellent guest writers, started a podcast to discuss 80s movies and the zine making process, and clocked lots of hours watching the good, bad, and meh movies of yore. You can learn more about them on girlsonfilmzine.com. And they are here. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm Stephanie Mcdevitt, and if it actually looks like I'm on this call twice, it's because Janine Scalza has joined us too. And we are Girls on Film. So as Anad said, we're based in the DC area. So a quick physical description of me: I'm a white woman with dark hair, and I'm currently wearing my pajamas because it's 9:45 my time. So Girls on Film started in 2018 as a zine that is hopelessly devoted to 80s movies. For each issue, we pick a theme and write about 8 movies that fit that theme. So we cover all kinds of themes and all kinds of movies as long as they came out between 1980 and 1989. And we try hard with each issue to choose a diverse selections of movies. We publish quarterly, and we originally created the zine to be digital only. But in 2018, we started going to live events, and therefore we had to start printing them out. So all of our issues are available in PDF format for free on our website, which is girlsonfilmzine.com. But we sell hard copies at in-person events, and anybody interested in buying hard copies can reach out to us, social media, via our website, or email, which is, I think, info@girlsonfilmzine.com. I think, I'm not sure, but all of our contact info is on our website. So since we originally started this as a digital only zine, we do all of our designs in InDesign. Janine does a lot of the heavy lifting on that. But we do everything ourselves except for print them. So we pull all of the screenshots, we caption all the pictures, we design the cover together. And yeah, we also have other guest writers that work with us. It started out as a 2-person project, but now Dr. Rhonda Bauman is with us. We have 2 other guest writers, and we've actually had some issues where our friends have helped us out. And my husband and Janine's brother have both written for the zine, because we are not a women-only zine. We are also not strictly a feminist zine. But since we're both women writing about movies, it does come out sometimes some feminist themes. But for the most part, we're pretty wide open in the movies we write about and the topics we write about. So I have 2 issues here to show you. Our first one, this is our first ever published zine, which we wrote about movies about music, which is why it has the audio cassette tape on the front. The movies in this zine are Tokyo Pop, Footloose, Hairspray, Repo Man, Flashdance, Shag, Voyage of the Rock Aliens, which is a very interesting movie if you've never had the opportunity to see it, and Modern Girls. And the other issue I have was our 4th issue, and also a Broken Pencil nominee for Best Fanzine. Janine actually designed the cover for this one, so it's obviously a plate with a checkered tablecloth. It looks pretty cool. And then if you look inside, you can see how we have pictures from all the movies that we pulled ourselves. Each of the articles is about 3 pages long. And the movies we discussed in this issue were Mystic Pizza, The Milagro Beanfield War, Tampopo, Eat the Rich, The Peanut Butter Solution, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, The Stuff, and Fast Food. And I think that's a pretty good overview of kind of who we are and what we do. We're pretty excited to be involved in the SF Zine Fest. You know, it's a huge bummer that we can't all get together and have Zine Fest in person, but it also has given us the opportunity to participate in Fest that we wouldn't have been able to go to otherwise, obviously, because you guys are on the other side of the country. But Janine, did you want to add anything, or have we covered it?
Hi, this is Janine. I'm not going to turn on my video because my baby is up, but that's it. I think Steph handled it pretty well. We're really glad to be able to participate in this year's event, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you both. Yeah, I keep forgetting to turn my microphone on. Okay, I'll remember. Next time, I'm definitely going to remember. Okay, that's what I'm telling myself and all of you and everyone watching. Next up, we have Off Menu Press. They are a zine and community space for individuals with I'm definitely gonna have trouble with this word.
I can help you. Canonically.
Canonically, thank you. Excluded genders. We publish folks who identify as women, trans, non-binary, or any other gender that has been impacted negatively by gender discrimination and the patriarchy in the form of physical composite zines, or menus, as we call them. Off-Menu Press editors are Rebecca Gross, she, they, Anais Peterson, they, or name, Grace Novosek, she, they, and Monica Niehaus, she, her. And if you all are here, go right ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Very stoked to be here. And I am kind of representing the press. I'm Rebecca, and just am really thrilled to be back with San Francisco Zine Fest. I'm going to say a little bit more about who we are and what we do, and then I'm going to show you all some zines. So as Anand said, Off Menu Press is a small press that publishes the work of people with canonically excluded voices and stories, primarily in the form of gender. And what that means basically is there's like this big canon that has been decided for all of us, whether we like it or not, about what is like good to read, or what are the best, pieces of art, pieces of literature. And so something that Off Menu Press really strives to do is create like an anti-canon, like an opposite version of that, and publish work that is maybe a little bit less traditional. So we've published trans, non-binary, BACLA, agender, gender fluid, and cis women in Off Menu Press. And we strive to empower creatives who may have felt really disempowered by traditional, traditional patriarchal system of publishing. So I feel like, my job as an editor is to be there to help amplify those voices and uplift those voices. And I would be nowhere without my my team members, Anis, Grace, and Monica. So big shout out to all of them. I also would love to acknowledge that I'm currently in Santa Cruz, California, not too far from San Francisco, which is the historical unceded territory of the Awaswas Yupi tribe. And I just want to acknowledge that although we're all in this like virtual medium, I feel really grateful to be in this physical space, producing physical zines. And that's one thing I love about zines is the connection to all of y'all and just kind of to this like historical, beautiful medium. So I'd love to tell you all about some of the zines that we have and describe them. So recently we were just funded on Kickstarter, which is very exciting. And it's enabling us to be able to print a bunch of new zines. Specifically, we have a series of 3 zines called our Flash series. And this is one of them. This is called Grim Fantasy, and it has an image of Octavia Butler, hand drawn by our art director, Grace. And it's kind of a dark forest green image. And we got the name Grim Fantasy from one of Octavia Butler's stories. Also in this series, we have Portal, which is an Arundhati Roy inspired edition, same kind of aesthetic as the first that I described, a green hand-drawn image of Arundhati Roy. And then we have an Anis Nin themed edition, Emotional Algebra, again with a very similar aesthetic, kind of looks like a drawing of Anis Nin in green on this notebook paper. And all of these editions were curated in the span of 30 minutes, or sorry, not 30 minutes, 3 hours, kind of close. But all of them total feature about 30 writers, and it's all micro poetry and prose. So these are really fun if you are kind of a literature head and want to read some non-canonical work about these canonical feminist authors. I'm going to also briefly share my screen and show you all some of our editions that we have not printed yet. So we have Art as Activism, which is an edition that features BIPOC only creatives, and also designed by Grace Novacek. And it's Art as Activism written in block letters, almost looking kind of 3D, with orange, green, blue, and purple layered on top of each other. And it says Off Menu Press, December 2020, with 2 hands. We also have a memory edition, which has a similar aesthetic, but with yellow and purple. And you have a little sneak peek to the inside there. And it says Memory Ennui Tinged, from March. And lastly, we have Present Moment, which was actually the first in this series. And all of these were sort of inspired by either the pandemic or the racial justice reckoning. So these are all available for purchase on our website. And last but not least, our brand new zine, The Lies Employers Tell, How to Spot Union Busting in the Workplace. And this was created by 2 creatives, all hand collaged and typed up with a typewriter, and by Eli Pasco and Sam Steele. Those are the 2 creatives' names. And this is our first explicitly socialist zine. Highly recommend checking it out if you're trying to unionize in your workplace. And the aesthetic of this, I'll just describe really quick, is some cut out magazine images that say the lies employers tell, how to spot union busting in your workplace, with old New Yorker clips and some hand-drawn illustrations of a mouth and a person's body. So please let me know if you have any questions. You can check us out on Patreon at Off Menu Press, also on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at that address as well. And just thanks again to everyone for sharing their work, and to the SF Zine Fest.
Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry. I've been at school for a while, so I'm just trying to just like, oh yeah, that's a lot of information I'm getting right now. I feel like with all of you presenting today, I'm learning. I did a lot of teaching today, and now it's my time to learn from all of you, and it's been great. And to close out our evening, we have our last presenter, and that is Kay Rodriguez of Silent Hare Studios. Kay is a printmaker, painter, and artist bookmaker who's living and working in California. She examines the conditions and interconnections of place, space, and trade. Kay has a long-term interest in the cultural geography and landscape of Jamaica. She began creating a series of handmade artists' books about the island in 2019. They are being duplicated by risograph and ink laser jet printers. They are based in Danville, California. And Kay, you are here, so I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Anand. Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here. And especially thank you to the interpreters. I really appreciate what you're doing here. So my name is Kay Rodriguez. My pronouns are she and her. I am based in the Bay Area. Right now, I'm in New York City. I should be back with you guys, hopefully for the rainy season. It's raining here a lot. I wish you had some of that. So this is my first Zine because I've been doing mostly artist books, and I really wanted to start doing Zines because they're so democratic and they're easier and cheaper to make, and they'll reach more people. I started learning how to do risograph, but couldn't get to complete a Zine in time for that. So I've done like a hybrid Zine, hybrid artist book for you. The one that I have submitted to San Francisco Zine Fest is called Mushrooms and Banana Slugs. And it's my first one that's not based on the Bay, that's not based in Jamaica. I'm trying to hold it up, but I'm not sure if you're seeing it. I'm really sorry if you can't, but the zine, can you see it?
It's the filter that you have in the background that's like,
okay, can you hold on a second then?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Hey, Anand?
Yeah?
How do I take my filter off?
I'm actually not sure how you,
okay.
Which one you are using right now. So maybe just in Zoom and
all
preferences.
Right. I may have to step out and come back in.
We can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, I'm gonna, while you do that, I'm gonna turn my screen on. And then I just have a question for other folks who are on the call right now, because I'm still at school and my dinner right now is one of the school lunches. So do you have any fond memories of school lunches from when you were in elementary school? You can turn on your camera and share, or you can write in the chat as well. Square pizza, immediate response from Lauren. And yes, chalupa. Nice. Okay, where you all had really nice lunches happening. Vacuum sealed grilled cheeses. Did not get those. Or those Crustables, yes, PBJs. My fondest memory when I moved to the US, I was in 5th grade, and was tater tots. I'd never had them before. I didn't know they existed. I didn't know what those were. I just Loved them at first bite. They were amazing. I still don't know what they were called. At least not for a year while I was learning English. So it wasn't until I was like, oh, they're called tater tots. Great. Yeah, these are great. Pierogies from the school cafeteria. Okay, we all seem to have a lot of memories. Can anyone, I feel like we need to do a zine on school lunches from our childhood. Right now, one of the lunches that students get is make your own pizza. So it's just cold pizza. It's like cold bread, and then, but with shredded cheese and sauce on the side. The kids love it. They make a mess out of it, and then I have to help clean up. But they get the sauce everywhere else also. Yeah, just last week, a child tried to open one of the containers, and then all the shredded cheese fell out, and they're like, "Oops, I almost had the cheese." Okay, I'm going to stop talking, but all of you can continue reading the chat for these amazing answers because Kay is back.
I figured it out with the help of my son. Thanks for your patience, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
And for filling in the space, Anand.
No worries. Thanks.
Okay, so the zine that I presented for San Francisco Zine Fest is called Mushrooms and Banana Slugs. It's the first one that I'm doing that is not in the Jamaica series. On the cover, you'll see it says mushrooms and banana slugs, and you'll see a yellow slug like hugging two mushrooms. And it is a fold out. And when you open it, what I want you to see first is this picture of a mushroom that's called chicken of the woods, which is really strange. So I'm asking in here if you can see the chicken, but of course you can't. It's all about the colors. And a lot of my work is about colors. This one is basically yellow and orange based. And so you start off with this mushroom, and then when you open up, you will see the actual beginning of the zine. And I am not sure if you can see this properly. Oh. Can you see that, or is that a bad view?
We can see it. Just like move it up a little bit and
Yes.
move it a bit to your right.
Okay.
A little bit more to the right and a little bit lower. Perfect. Great.
Okay. So the reason you have trouble registering with this, it's a huge tree. It's actually the Sherman tree that I saw up in Sequoia, and I was so blown away by it. It's one of the California redwoods, of course. And if you're from California, you'll know that there's so many of them around. So that is your first thing, where you see this small person, which is actually a normal sized person, looking at this huge tree. And it's just fantastic when you see these things, like you can't believe how big they are. So the next one takes you to, it's like a play on words. It's because the mushroom is called a chicken of the woods. I decided to draw a chicken that kind of looked like a chicken, but it's not really a chicken. It's based on a drawing that I saw by Bill Traylor, and I thought I'd plagiarize a little or really turn it into something else. So that's what you're looking at, is you're learning about natural history, but I'm playing on words and on the actual shows that you see here. So the next page is showing you an actual banana slug. And I have a friend who is very proud of the banana slug because it's his alma mater's mascot. It's a UC Santa Cruz's mascot. So I thought I would put that in there while I was doing this design, just as a tribute to him. And these slugs actually eat mushrooms, including the chicken of the wood. So this whole zine is just about one page fold out, and basically in yellows and oranges. And the final section is just a little bit more about the redwoods and how fantastic they are, and explaining to you that even though the zine is about mushrooms and slugs, it's also about the redwood trees, because they're just one biotic, they're part of one biotic group, so you can't talk about one without the other. And if you need to contact me, this is my information here. There's my website address, and there's my email address. My email address is also my Venmo account. So feel free to talk to me if you wish. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so
And
much.
that's it.
Thank you so much, Kay, and thank you for taking us back to nature to end it all. Yeah, we spent way too much time in front of a computer these past, oh my gosh, almost 2 years. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen to just kind of close out the event. And all right, we have no more presenters. These are upcoming CyberFest rebooted events. Tomorrow is, as I mentioned earlier, Thinking Captions zine reading with Ocean Escalante, Samantha Espinoza, and Tamiko Sidore. That's from 6 to 7:30. On Friday, we have show and tell for Group F. That's our regular time of 6 to 7:15. And then on Saturday, we have 3 events. We have our show and tell with our Group G. That's from 11 to 12:15. An in-person bookbinding workshop at Rock, Paper, Scissors Collective. That workshop is actually sold out. I mean, the capacity was for 15 folks, and they've all already signed up, and they've RSVP'd. That's a 2-hour workshop. And then we have our Q&A on Saturday with our guest of honor for 2021, which is Tiny Splendor. That's from 4 to 5:15 p.m. And our final day of events will be Sunday, September 5th. We'll also have 3 events then, including our exhibitor show and tell for Group H, another bookbinding workshop that's in person. I'm not sure if it's maxed out or not as far as capacity is concerned. But you can check. It's on our website. Just go to our schedule page and click on the Eventbrite link. And we're going to end it again from like 4 to 5 with a closing out party / hangout. So you can meet volunteers and other exhibitors as well. And that's on Sunday. One of the things I mentioned earlier is that we are collaborating with Bay Area bookstores this year. These are some examples. Someone got, there you go. And these will be available for purchase in September. And today's the first day of September. So you can go to these stores to buy zines and comics from folks who've contributed so far. The 3 bookstores we're working with are Silver Sprocket and the Mission Comics and Art Bookstore, and Dog-Eared Castro, which is soon to be Fabulosa. These photos are from Silver Sprocket and Mission Comics. And of course, more zines will be added as we receive them and as we bring them over to the bookstores. You can check out sfzinefest.org/bookstores to see where your zines are being sold. I wanted to thank the Bay Area ASL interpreters we have tonight. That's Nicole Watson and Rob Merino. Thank you both once again for putting up with all of us and doing an amazing job. Also want to recognize Intersection for the Arts. SF Zine Fest is a member of Intersection for the Arts, which is a bedrock Bay Area arts nonprofit that provides people working in arts and culture with fiscal sponsorship and resources to grow. A lot of paperwork involved and just a lot of guidance in terms of how we can grow. And they've been an amazing help and an amazing resource. That's really about it. Thank you so much for attending another